Okay, come please. So we are
Yes, we complete.
at the Dardanelles at the moment, 1500 yards, and another narrow is over there where the white ship is. So from that point next is another, narrow. So Dardanelles, like plural, two. And Herodotus says that was the narrowest. But river bringing silt filled this bay, so it moved further. So today this is narrower than the other one. But today, not my silt because there's a dam over there, so which provides running water to the city. This is a provincial city. About 80,000 people live, and about 11 counties of the province. About 600,000 people live, so not a big, provincial province in Turkey. And but it's very strategic. That's Gallipoli Peninsula on the other side, and roughly peninsula 90 kilometers, and Dardanelles 65 kilometers. And this is the waterway, very strategic. Has seen so many conflicts in the past. Still, strategic, and more than 200-meter installations, on the Dardanelles today. So it's part of NATO, Turkey, as you know, and over there radar, NATO, base. So still, very strongly held by Turkish, army and navy and air force. And nearby there's an air force, and usually Turkish planes, train over Aegean Sea over there. When you travel around, you will see Turkish, F-16s, flying over there quite often. And that's medieval castle in the shape of heart. Another one right there. So they were built simultaneously, almost 3 months' time, and gypsies were used in the construction. And then they were given, permission to get land, so they were allowed to settle around this, fort. So first settlers actually were gypsies over there, and the date is like 1462 or 52. They say. We don't know whether it was taken before the capture of Istanbul or after. We don't have good records. So majority of the historians agree 1462 is the date of the construction. The reason is to secure this against Venetians and Genoese. And these guys had colonies on the Black Sea and the Mediterranean Sea. So Ottomans, when they established themselves on the Straits, they want to control passage in the Dardanelles and Bosphorus, so had to take measures as part of the security. So Mehmed II, Ottoman Sultan, had them built to conquer Istanbul as well, as you remember. So in 1915, when Turkey joined the war on German side, we got Germans, about 503 Germans used here in this area, and technicians, engineers, and army officers. Almost 40% of Turkish army was German, staff employed or used in the First World War. And Sanders, who was German general, who came to Turkey in 1913 to train Turkish army as head of the mission, then appointed by young Turks to command Turkish army deployed here in Gallipoli. Fifth Army was deployed, and it was like two bodies, like forts headquarters and army headquarters. Two bodies of army, and force headquarters were here, and army headquarters were in the township of Gallipoli, 60 kilometers away on the other side, where was German General Sanders' headquarters. It was a French consulate building before, turned into an army headquarters. And but what we did in terms of defense, whole peninsula was held by 3rd Army Corps. And this side, one Army Corps, the other side, another Army Corps. So 15th Army Corps was deployed on this side, and 3rd Army Corps was deployed on the other side. But we should have rather done like 2 Army Corps on the peninsula, because when landing started in the south in Anzac, there was no corps commander here, and some confusion, happened. And 2 division commanders, when Anzac started landing there, and British in the south, and 2 division commanders, like in a quandary, didn't have authority. Neither army commander nor corps commander, was there in the, on the spot. So they didn't know what to do. But Atatürk, 19th Division commander, had to act on his own initiative, and he saved the day. And we say today, if we had, a corps commander there, if he took, quick action, especially, we could drive Anzac into the sea, because around Anzac in the perimeter we had 12,000 men. And these guys went to Anzac, but piecemeal, piece by piece, battalion after battalion. So Atatürk moved, 1 regiment, rather than whole division, like three regiments. about 8 o'clock, so 2 hours walking. So when he got there, it was almost 10:30. So about 6 hours past 6 landing, almost 1st Australian Division finished landing. And when it was reported first time, about 3 a.m. in the moonlight, Turks saw silhouette of the ships at sea. Company commander reported that they were seeing a lot of ships gathering before Anzac, but when company commander reported to battalion headquarters, battalion commander reported regimental and then to division headquarters. But division headquarters thought that there would be a landing there because country is not suitable there. High ground, overlooked by hills about 100 meters high. So he said, how do you know that's the main landing? Maybe it's a trick because there are beaches around. And so they had to wait 2 hours to be sure. And then 2 battalions were ordered to reinforce. And then 2 hours walking distance, so 4 hours passed. So one company, 160 men, had to resist against Anzac about 3.5 hours. Very superior force. Roughly 1,500 landed in the first wave, then immediately followed by 2nd brigades. So when 2 battalions went to reinforce Turkish company, already 2 brigades from Australia landed. And Atatürk, just behind, didn't get any orders to do anything, because of confusion. And then he knew there was a crisis there, because 5:15 he learned there was a landing going on. But headquarters, army headquarters in Gallipoli didn't recognize, and division headquarters here, waited for orders. So a bit delay, like chain delay. And that's why we say, and historians, if we had 2 army corps on the peninsula, one in the south, one in the north, maybe we could take quicker, actions, and we could, most probably drive Anzac, you could see early in the morning. But that opportunity, was lost because of, organization. And one Turkish officer say in his memoirs, actually we were thinking about it and we would do it, but we had no time before the English, landed, so didn't have time. So that's the way Turkish army was organized. And German general, Sanders, expected landed from this side. In 1918, he was, questioned by Times, journalists, and he said, if I was Ian Hamilton, I would land on this side, on Asian side, use Tenedos Island as a base, and then come up this way. But it is ridiculous because you need a lot of men to do operations, from Asian side, because country very undulating and broken, and rivers and etc. And Navy could give support along the beaches and come to the ports here, but it takes at least 2-3 days to come up here. Whereas when you land behind 10 kilometers, half-day distance, Yep. And so that is, better. And Colwell, British, general, in his book, he was director of military operations, gave a lecture before the war and after the war, and he said, if I was in place of Ian Hamilton, I would land like 40,000 men. British could land 40,000 men in one day. So land like Normandy, whole army, just around Anzac and cut through, the trough, over there, like a trough between mountains. So reach, this way. I would have done it rather than split up, my army here and there like that. So these are tactical, considerations. And but firstly, Navy attacked to get through, because when Russians wanted help from British didn't have army, to use in Gallipoli. Only thing they could do, they could send navy, strong navy, and help. But Sazonov, said we didn't mean Dardanelles, and they wanted sort of diversion on Turkish army, like Izmir, Western Turkey, or Syria. But Russians most probably, as far as I understand from Russian history, didn't want them, to attack on the Dardanelles, because there was competition between British and Russia to control Dardanelles and Bosphorus. In history, 150 years, 200 years, British never allowed, Russia to take Turkish straits. Always came to help Turks when we had trouble. And West didn't want Russia to take Turkey. Russia didn't want, West to take Turkey. That's why we are here in the, middle. And so that was the balance of power.